Hi, this is Dr. Ogren. Welcome to Organizational Development. I look forward to spending the next weeks with you. I have created these lectures in small chunks because it can be really a lot of information. So um, I'm going to start with just giving you an overview of organizational development and in context um, of what we're going to really talk about through this course. So my objective for this week is that you get a better understanding about what organization development is, the value of it in an organization, and how we got to this space today that we think about organizational development historically, and then what it means to diagnose an organization, how we'll do that, and then actually applying a force field analysis to a case study, which is what you'll do this week, and using other models. So really kind of basics this week and get you started on a pretty simple model. I could ask you, if we were sitting in the room together, to take a pad of Post-it notes and write on each one word on each Post-it note and tell me, what is an organization? When you think about your organization, I'm going to ask you throughout this course to have one organization in mind. So let me just kind of start there. An organization you're pretty familiar with, you've been a part of, you understand the organization. It at least you're part in the organization. But what happens in reality is that we think about our daily life at work in a very narrow tunnel focused way. We recognize what we have to do to get our job done. We might even know what we have to, who we have to rely on in order to get our work done, and who relies on us, and where we fit in the system. But many people don't even know that much. Other people understand the complexity of the organization. On the slide in front of you are just words. If I asked you to start writing down what are really the parts of the organization you're in, you would have to dig deep and think about things like policies that keep the place running, technology, systems, processes, policies, employees, vendors, suppliers, customers, how we get paid, how we get rewarded, how do we um, reward customers, how do we reward employees, how do we brand ourselves, what's our mission, what are we trying to accomplish, what's the market and the industry that we're in, and how does that affect the organization. My goal as you go through this course is that at the end of 8 weeks, you will think about all of those concepts, all those things going on in your organization, and you will think about them more quickly, and you'll think about how everything in your organization works together in a really complex way. That's the goal of my first goal for you, is that you really broaden the way that you think as you take this course, and go from a very kind of narrow-minded way that we tend to think, because we know what we have to get done in a day. And you have the opportunity in this course to step back and look very holistically at the organization. So people frequently say, what is organizational development and why do we need to study it? Organizational development is the concept that we take an organization, and by the way, an organization can be any group of people where there's 2 or more people working towards a common mission. So it might be a volunteer group. Your organization that you're looking at might thinking about might be a team, a department, actually a whole organization, variety of things. It could be a church group or other groups that you've been a part of. And what we do in organizational development, we're really talking about change, and what are not only what's the complexity of the organization, but if we go even one step further and say things change all the time, our worlds are changing continuously. What is it that makes this organization what defines this organization as a culture, a personality, as the norms? How do we know how to get work done? And when we introduce change in an organization, then what happens to that organization? How do we handle change? Every organization will have a different culture and will handle that differently. How do we lead people? And if we're going to look at an organization, we're going to actually diagnose it through data and say what is working in this organization and what isn't. It will change how you look at your organization. Change agents exist in all of us. It might be a frontline supervisor who has to introduce a new policy to production workers, and it might be the CEO who's looking at strategically changing something very significant in the industry or the organization. Whatever we're looking at in the organization and what might change um, um, can be impacted and can be done better through tools that you will be introduced to in this course. Tools and models that help us diagnose what's really happening in the organization. Very frequently, what people will do is go solve a problem, and frequently the problem they're trying to solve is really a symptom of an underlying problem. That's one of the things we'll talk a lot about in this class. So it will help you to be able to diagnose and look deeper at the organization that you're a part of. Our goal always is to be more effective, more productive, more rewarding, satisfying, and engaging environments that we provide to employees and make a difference in the world, if you will. This is one definition of organizational development: the actual process of increasing organizational effectiveness, facilitating personal and organizational change through the use of interventions driven by social and behavioral science knowledge. So the organizational change, like I said before, might be something small like a policy, and it might be significant like a merger acquisition or an industry change. And intervention refers to the actual way that we introduce change, what we do to make change happen in a more productive, effective way. We know that change is inevitable. Certainly in the last 3 years, we know that things are not going to stand still, and that we can't predict what happens in the future. Things will have to change, or else we get stagnant. Charles Darwin said it's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. And we have to change. Survival requires us to change, and change does not slow down. The impact of change is not slowing down. In fact, we've seen it through COVID and the pandemic affect us so quickly that we couldn't have even predicted how quickly and really immediately that we had to change. And it really, we have to be good at it, and we have to do it well and keep customers happy, employees engaged, and board of directors profitable, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what organizational development is not is just management consulting. And sometimes people will think that it is not just training and development. It's not short or fast. It's not just an application of a toolkit. It's really the diagnosis, analysis, and the idea of being a change agent for your